What's up, fishing fam? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're in Mooresville, Indiana, home of the state flag and Black Dog Brewing Company. Here on my left, I've got Jeremy Koontz, owner of Black Dog Brewery. Jeremy, welcome to the channel.
Thank you.
Man, we are super excited for you to be here. Can't wait to let the folks at home know all about your awesome company. And heck, let's get right into it. So you've got a brewery. A, it's super cool. But B, why? Why beer?
Oh man. Well, I've always I've always had a passion for craft beer, and we've talked outside of this, and I told you that I was always I've been in the beer business for about 20 years, but along that line, along that career path, I'd always go into craft breweries, and you go into one and you get one beer that you really liked, instead of being able to go into a craft brewery and say, man, I like all of these. It was always just trying to find one that you liked. And we thought, well, what if we took all this experience from me being in the beer business, applied it to a craft brewery, and then also really tried to make every single beer a beer that somebody would like. And I think that's what really drives us from a passion standpoint. We call it the craft beer promise, but when somebody goes and has a craft beer, they want something that's amazing. It's a promise. You should have something that's really good, really interesting, and handcrafted locally, and that's not always the case. So that's kind of what drives us, keeps us going.
Well, I can promise you this: the beer is amazing, and right now, not to downplay anything you've had in the past. But I believe there's 10 taps plus 4 on the back burner, if you will.
Yep.
So all 14 of these beers, folks, I would have a pint, no questions asked. They're phenomenal. The taste it's not over the top like where someone tries to make Fruity Pebble, beer. It's still beer, right?
Yeah, and I think that's key. There's been this craft beer revolution that's been going on for the last 15, 20 years. And one of the things with us as a society is if somebody says, oh, you know what, I like chocolate, we have a tendency to say, great, let's rub your face in that, and put it in your ears and your nose and your mouth and all down the front of you. And sometimes I think the subtlety in the beer business is lost. So we really do try and not overdo the flavors. Like the adjuncts or the other things you add into your beer should never step on the toes of your beer. We want to make great beer, and then let people find those flavors as opposed to smashing them upside the head with them.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And if you are offering to pour the layers that you've got, that Imperial Milk Stout, if you're offering to pour that all over my face.
That's a go.
I'm game.
Yeah, that's no problem.
I'll lap that.
Now that's the one that I will say is probably even with that. There's a lot going on in that beer. Toasted coconut, chocolate, vanilla, but a lot of those flavors. I know, right?
Yeah.
A lot of those flavors really come from the not the coconut and vanilla, obviously, but a lot of the chocolate roasty flavors really shine. Even a little bit of the coffee shines through just from the roasted malt.
Yeah.
And that's a great example of a beer that teeters on the edge of being so flavor forward, but also is very subtle at the same time. So you get this great, amazing experience with that beer. And that's people have been going nuts over it. That's probably one of my favorite Imperial Stouts we've ever done.
Oh, man. And it is fantastic. The Space Peanuts you had just before that was phenomenal. Definitely, you said nothing's going to beat it. The layers is definitely there. So people are going to have to check that one out for sure. So, we'll get back to that, but you were talking about your favorites. So Black Dog Brewery, you've got a bunch of different beer. I don't want to call you a beer snob, but you probably got a better taste, a better palate for beer than most. What would you say would be Jeremy Koontz's favorite beer?
Oh man. We get that question a lot. Like, we'll be at a beer festival and somebody will come up and be like, oh, give me your favorite. I'm like, just it depends on the day, really.
Right.
We stay after hours a lot of time, not after hours, but, after our work day is complete, a lot of times when we open, we'll stay back there and just, meander around and talk to people. And usually I do that with a beer in my hand, and I can tell you every night, usually it's a different beer. Because I like them all. I really do. But if I had to choose one, probably Shelby Dog is my absolute go-to. That's kind of our flagship beer, but it's also, Shelby was our dog and kind of the impetus for the name and the name of the beer. And so that one for me was excellent, or is excellent. And then, the other one I have to go with is probably the German lager, just because that's got our name on it.
Right.
And it's an old family recipe, and a craft lager, if it's done well, is such an amazing beer. And I think ours fits into that. It's just such a drinkable, easygoing beer, but also you can tell that it's just well made. I love it. It's very good.
Yeah.
So
And
I don't know, man. Can I have two?
Yes. As many awesome beers as you've got, I think 2 would be, very, very fair of us. So that Shelby Dog, which you guys can't see, but the beautiful lady behind the camera, that is Nicole's favorite beer as well. She loves it. She's like, oh, I'll try something else. She'll usually go back to that Shelby Dog. That's her staple. And that Koontz family recipe, that's a really cool story. As is, your whole background in the beer alcohol industry as a whole. I think that's what really separates your success so soon, is just because you have a passion for it, but a lot of folks don't realize how much experience you have. You opened in the middle of the pandemic, May of 20.
May of 20. Yep, yeah, that's right.
Which that's crazy in itself.
Yeah. Owning a brewery is kind of a kick in the teeth anyway, because every time you come in, it's something's broken. You deal with so much equipment and so many systems, and especially right now, so much has changed with not just our economy and the market in general, but the beer business specifically has really changed over the last 6 years. So when we got started, we actually started the process in 2018. We actually incorporated in January of 2018. And it took us 2 years to get everything together and get through the planning phase in order to open. And in that time, we went through several different fads. When we first got started, hazy IPAs were just kind of getting around to being something big here in Indiana. And so for the last 3 or 4 years, I guess, hazy IPAs here in the state have just gone insane.
Yeah.
And then some other beers have come and gone, like other styles have come and gone. So it's already been a roller coaster ride, and I'm sure the next few years will be the same too. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, if the next few years are anything like the past, I can promise you Black Dog is going to be around. They have really accelerated. Pedal to the metal through the pandemic stage, which, I don't need to inflate your ego, but congratulations. It's fantastic for a business of any type to excel. But in a uncertain market, and, where people are really clinging tight to their money to where they might go to that cheaper domestic beer, you see your business just exploding. I believe you're at 100% capacity back there.
Yeah, we didn't expect to be that far along already, and I think that was probably one of the biggest surprises. We knew that we had good beer from the start, but because of the changes with the pandemic, everything. We say here that we timed it. Even opening during the pandemic, we timed it just right. Had we opened 6 months earlier or a year earlier, we would have probably been in trouble, because we would have been producing beer. And like a lot of places at that time, they were producing so much beer, and then all of a sudden, bars and restaurants were shut off. And so these guys went from producing their normal amount of beer to all of a sudden being stuck with hundreds of thousands of dollars of inventory on beer.
Oh my gosh.
And just kegs lined up that they couldn't sell, and beer has a shelf life. And so now you're starting to deal with old beer, and it was crazy. So, we were able to see that and adjust our production, getting started. So that was probably good for us. I wouldn't have wanted to open too much sooner. So, everybody says that, oh my gosh, you guys opened during the pandemic. And I think that made things a little bit easier for us.
Yeah.
But the resulting way things kind of panned out in the market really required us to go back to our business plan and say, okay, just throw that in the trash because now we got to start over, because we had planned on really spending more time against putting a kitchen in here, because we're kind of we're out outskirts of town, so we're sort of a destination, and so we really we're planning on playing a little heavier with the kitchen right from the get-go. And because of the changes in the pandemic, we had to cut that out completely.
Right.
And we had to start canning long before we wanted to, because canning's such an expensive thing to do.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of how it changed. So we did have to play some hopscotch, and change some things, change our approach to some things to make it work. But
right.
But we've been able to do it so far.
Kudos. So just like in fishing, there is a level of luck involved. Had you guys opened up a little earlier, might have shook out a little bit different. Yeah. But luck was on your side. You've got the skill set and the knowledge to power this thing through, and I'm sure it was more than luck that made all the right decisions come together for you. So fast forward a little bit. We're in a really good place for Black Dog right now. Mm-hmm. You've got some phenomenal beer. You feeling pretty good about the process? And if so, where does Jeremy see Black Dog going into the next 5 or 10 years?
Well, we'd like to be the first beer sold in outer space is where we're going.
Is that where Cosmic Dog, Space Peanuts?
Right.
This is
see, it's a thing.
It's all coming together.
No, I think it's kind of a ride. There's so much that could happen in our business over the next 3 to 5 years. We just came through a really major time of consolidation. There was a ton of consolidation. Mm-hmm. And we saw that happening a ton, and that's kind of slowed down a little bit. I imagine that will kick back off, and you'll see more consolidation. So it's hard to say what's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years. Not only that, but beer styles. Mm-hmm. The other thing that we see is people are starting to really gravitate back towards the standard traditional beer styles, lagers, Pilsner, Helles Lager, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Regular stouts, not necessarily pastry stouts. You see people starting to slow down on all the crazy, like the brute IPAs were crazy. I think hazy IPAs will always be around, but that's coming back to normal now. Yeah. It's not like everybody that's there for a while. That's all anybody wanted to drink. So I see that coming back, and I think those breweries that are able to make those traditional styles are going to be the breweries that are left standing at the end, and the ones who do really well. So I see us in that neighborhood. What I'd really like to do is be able to make sure that people from all over can get a hold of Black Dog beer, not just here in Central Indiana. So, maybe outer space.
Yeah,
not at least across the pond over in the UK, something like that.
Oh man,
no, I'm kidding. I would like to see just a wider footprint.
Yeah,
in the US for sure.
Well, that's awesome, and for you guys watching at home, wherever you might be watching from, Black Dog Brewery and Company in Mooresville, Indiana is phenomenal. If you're close, the 500 is coming up, which will be, you'll be able to see this episode before the Indianapolis 500 comes out. Mooresville is about 35 minutes just south and a touch west of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Definitely, like Jeremy said, it's not too far of a drive. It's a little bit of a destination, so come, relax, enjoy some of their finest beers. That is awesome that you're getting your name out there. We see it at several restaurants and tap rooms around town, and we hope to bring it to you folks out there too on the MBOS. As we travel the country, we're going to be sampling different breweries from around the country, bringing Black Dog along with us so that the other guys out there can get a real taste of what quality beer tastes like, right?
That's right.
Well, Jeremy, this has been awesome. I can't thank you enough for having us over at your establishment. We can't wait for everybody to come down and see us. What's your exact address here?
It's 11230 North State Road 67 in Mooresville, Indiana.
We're going to go ahead and link that below because that was a whole lot of numbers. And that's Mooresville, Indiana, southwest side of town. You can check them out on Facebook, Instagram, all the social media platforms. We'll have a link on here as well, so you just have to click down. And while you're clicking around looking for Black Dog, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like this video, share it with your friends, families, your enemies. I don't care who you share it with. Just share it, all right? So until next time, Jeremy, it's been real.
Thank you.
We're going to get out of here and have a pint. You folks at home do the same. Be safe. Tight lines.